We are the Guinea Pig Collective. All will be assimilated. Resistance is futile.
Hey everybody, what's going on, and welcome back to another Toys from the Past. So on today's Toys from the Past, we are going to be doing something just slightly different. We are actually going to be doing a double feature. Now this double feature is going to include two toy lines that were requested in the comments on previous videos. First up, requested by Stories by Irish, will be Hasbro's My Little Pony. Hasbro has had many hit toy franchises on its hands, and My Little Pony is one of its most recognizable and beloved toy lines. It has been flying off shelves since it debuted in 1983. So how exactly did this toy line come to be? Well, the real life inspiration for the My Little Pony franchise came from a woman named Bonnie Zachary. Now, as a child, Bonnie Zachary and her family lived in Japan, where her father, who was an army colonel and a veterinarian, cared for all the quarantine animals entering and leaving the country. Now, Zachary particularly loved a chubby little Korean pack pony named Knicker. Unfortunately, when they left Japan, they could not take Knicker with them, and Zachary was promised a pony of her own one day, but unfortunately that never came to pass, but the memory of Knicker always stuck with her. So after getting her degree in illustration from Syracuse University, Zachary worked at a greeting card company and soon found herself doing freelance design work for Hasbro in the evening. Now, when the card company was sold in the late 70s, she actually left to wind up joining Hasbro full-time. Now, she pitched a horse toy, which she imagined would be cuddly with a comfortable tail and a mane, for 3 years, but she was turned down every single time. She had pretty much given up on the idea when a friend of hers at Hasbro told her, "Bonnie, our boss has an idea, and it's really the same as yours, only it's not a horse, it's a pony." He told her that the boss wants it big and he wants to have mechanical things inside of it to create that extra sense of playability, which was becoming the fad at the time. Zachary, of course, was asked to sketch a design for the pony. And in 1981, the Pretty Pony debuted. It was more than 10 inches tall, and the toy was made of a hard plastic and had a lever under the chin that made the toy's ears wiggle, its tail swish, and its eye wink. My Pretty Pony was moderately successful, and it sold a couple million units. And as so often happens, they always want to be able to improve on the design. They want to be able to sell more units. They want it to be a hit. So Hasbro's vice president of marketing brought one of the toys home to his wife and asked her to evaluate it, and she had some feedback. She said, "Well, it's good, I guess, but I think it should be small and soft and have comfortable hair and be played with like a doll." So consequently, he took his wife's advice, went to Zachary and said, "Hey, I want you to make the exact same toy, only shrink it down and make it soft and, comfortable hair, but don't change a thing about it." Zachary recalls that she didn't even have to redraw it, she just shrunk the original drawings down. So that's how it got to be that small. The new ponies were 5 to 6 inches tall and made of much more snuggly vinyl instead of the hard plastic. Hasbro filed a patent for My Little Pony in August of 1981. It was granted 2 years later. There are 3 inventors listed: Zachary, Charles Muchinger, and Steve Diaguano. Now, Muchinger is a sculptor at Hasbro. He turned Zachary's drawings into a physical form that could be reproduced. Now, Diaguano was the general manager of research and development at Hasbro at the time. Now, the bright ponies that everybody knows and loves were not what Zachary initially had in mind. She envisioned toys that looked like real animals: an Appaloosa, dappled gray, Palomino, Pintos, and it would be played with by preschool girls and boys. She created ponies that were all exactly the same as the original My Pretty Pony, which was a Palomino, just shrunken down. The colors came about when a friend who was a marketing director said, "Bonnie, what do you think of pink and purple?" Bonnie replied, "Get out of my office." The friend countered with, "Little girls like pink and purple." Bonnie replied with, "I don't care. I was a preschool toy designer, and in preschool, really it wasn't girls or boys. The friend countered, well, why not wait to test it? So Zachary acquiesced, and after testing, the company went with the bright colors. And when they came out, there were originally only 6 ponies: Snuzzle, Butterscotch, Bluebell, Minty, Blossom, and Cotton Candy. They were all produced in 1982. They wound up becoming known as the Flatfoot Posse, so named because they were the only My Little Ponies to have flat rather than concave feet, with heads facing forward and down. The posse wasn't used again after that first year. Now, when My Little Pony had made its Toy Fair debut, it didn't exactly make a splash. The pony didn't do enough. They couldn't sell it, Zachary recalled. The director of marketing, whose wife was the one who said that it needed to be small, he stuck to his guns and his wife's intuition and did not drop the pony from the line. And although those initial reactions to the line were not really that compelling, when it was released to the public, it was an instant success, and the toys, they galloped off the shelves. It was an instant smash success worldwide. In what was to be deemed the Generation 1 of My Little Ponies, it included several different posses and ran from 1983 to 1992. And while they started with just 6 characters, Hasbro was constantly expanding the characters and types of ponies available. Soon there were unicorns and sea ponies, Pegasus ponies and flutter ponies, sparkle ponies and glow and show ponies. Also available were So Soft ponies, which were fuzzy, and scented ponies. Secret Surprise ponies, which had a secret compartment containing a surprise, and Drink and Wet baby ponies, which came with diapers that revealed patterns when toys wet themselves. The toy line continued from there, creating many different generations and iterations of itself throughout the years, even continuing today, and has actually created a fan base called Bronies. Now, Bronies are men who were never originally marketed to for this toy line, since it was marketed to little girls, but somehow they became huge fans of not only the characters but the message that was in the show. And this does not just include the average everyday person, even celebs are fans of the ponies. Weird Al Yankovic made a cameo as a pony named Cheese Sandwich in a 2014 episode, and Andrew WK is a confessed brony. He identifies with Pinkie Pie. One of the staples to the My Little Pony toy line has always been what is now deemed the cutie mark. This was not always the case, and it actually had angered quite a few fans when it was initially called that. Nevertheless, even though it is the most identifying thing about a My Little Pony to say that it is a My Little Pony, it did not start with My Little Pony, believe it or not. It precedes My Little Pony from the My Pretty Pony line. Now, My Pretty Pony was followed by My Pretty Pony and Beautiful Baby, which came with the additional smaller baby pony figure. This was followed by the pink and yellow versions of the original that have the now Hallmark symbol on the pony's backside. And with constant updates and new iterations coming out so many years, and with die-hard fans, even the bronies that are following this toy line, it is not going away anytime soon and is going to be around for many years to come. And now on to part 2. For today's Toys from the Past. I could not recall exactly who requested this video, but I'm sure if you are watching or if they see it, they will go ahead and let me know that they are the one that requested it, and I will give you your proper dues. So for the second half of our double feature right here, we are going to be talking about Marvel action figures. And without having to say it, we all know that over the years, action figures have gone from what was originally deemed as kids stuff to more grown-up collector's items. Grown men and women that go out to stores looking for these figures to collect them because it's part of their childhood, it's part of who they are. And I think that that is something that is severely missed by people who just look at grown adults in toy aisles collecting things like this, like they're strange, like they're idiots, like they're three-headed Cerberuses sitting up in the middle of the aisle playing with kids stuff. It's not exactly like that. And if you've never understood it, you are never going to get it. Probably more than likely because you're simple-minded and you're stuck in that, well, this is what I'm told I'm supposed to do as a grown-up. And if you do anything that looks like it could be kid-related, well, then you're childish. Well, you're a moron if you think that way. We at the Guinea Pig Collective, the Guinea Pig Menace, we do not give two shits if somebody gets offended because they're simple-minded. Now, I know most of you great people out there that are listening right there, my dear listeners, I know that you understand exactly where I'm coming from with this, and you understand it completely, but there are still simple-minded people out there who just don't think.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
The way most people rationally would. They have to group you into a category and they need to shame you for it because you think outside the norm. Well, they can kiss the collective's fuzzy asses. So, we begin the foray into Marvel figures in 1972. What a good year. I was born in 72. Marvel fans finally got the action figure line they'd been waiting for when Mego unleashed world's greatest superheroes. Now, this line of 8-inch tall doll-like figures, they're action figures, featured characters from other companies, but most importantly, the likes of Spider-Man, Hulk, Captain America, Falcon, Green Goblin, Mr. Fantastic, the Human Torch, Invisible Girl, The Thing, Lizard, Iron Man, and Thor. 'Cause damn it, you need Thor. Unfortunately, the company went out of business a decade later, but fans wouldn't have to wait long for more mighty Marvel toys. So, in 1984, Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars. The comic company took a page from that playbook and set up the Secret Wars toy line at Mattel. In addition to two different series of 4.5-inch action figures that came with a lenticular shield. This line expanded the world by offering playsets, motorcycles, gliders, helicopters, and the iconic Doom roller. Dr. Doom, Dr. Octopus, Kang, Magneto, Wolverine, Hobgoblin, Daredevil, Baron Zemo, and a black costumed Spider-Man all made their action figure debut in this retro classic line. Now, by the 1990s, that Marvel toy license, it would wind up shifting over to Kenner. Yeah, Kenner. The same people that worked on the Star Wars line of toys. Now, this led to the creation of the Marvel superhero series that kicked off that decade. Characters like Spider-Man, Captain America, Hulk, Doctor Doom, Daredevil, Punisher, Dr. Octopus, Silver Surfer, Iron Man, Thor, Green Goblin, Venom, Annihilus, Deathlock, Invisible Woman, Human Torch, Mr. Fantastic, Thing, the U.S. Agent made the cut this time around. Now, these figures also came with action features and accessories that were more accurately reflective of the character's powers as seen on the pages. The first Punisher toy even came with cap-firing guns. And of course, they always got to have other lines going, and they had Toy Biz. Toy Biz also expanded into other realms with talking figures, 12-inchers, play sets, and vehicles. And in addition to that expanding toy presence through Toy Biz, in the 90s, Marvel also increased their visibility on the small screen with a number of beloved and successful cartoons, such as the X-Men, Spider-Man, the Fantastic Four, Iron Man, the Hulk, the Silver Surfer, and the Avengers. They all had shows, and they had figures to go with them. Now, these series came packed with heroes and villains from the shows, but also related ones from those comics. These proved successful enough to dedicate entire waves to comic-specified groups ranging from the Symbiotes and the Generation X to X-Men 2099, Ghost Rider, and criminals locked up in the super prison known as the Vault. Now, some lasted longer than others, but they all provided fans with 5-inch reproductions of some of their favorite comic book characters. And while the 90s provided a lot more characters to be seen made into figures, and of course, like all lines of figures, they start off with relatively modest articulation, and eventually they became much more posable as the years progressed. The one thing that differed with a lot of the Marvel figures as opposed to just about any other toy franchise out there is the amount and the number of different companies that Marvel wound up going through. They had gone through quite a few different companies that produced toys for them. Typically, most franchises, they have maybe one or maybe even two, possibly three toy companies that they may work with. Marvel has gone through 4, 5, maybe 6 different companies at this point, at least. And that's not even counting all the side companies that make different types of merchandise for them that are not exactly action figures, but they are listed as toys. Just to make mention of some of the more modern toy companies that have also been producing Marvel toys, you have companies like Hasbro, Diamond Select, Nika, and Funko. And since Marvel is pretty much internationally known, Hong Kong-based Hot Toys has been making shockingly accurate versions of Marvel's screen and comic stars for years. It's quite amazing how far that these Marvel toy lines have gone from the original concept that was laid out in '72 with those big Mego figures. And no doubt, no matter what you think of the new direction of comic books, whether you love it or whether you hate it, one thing is certain: the original characters and the ideals that those characters represented into those figures that were made for them are going to stick around for generations. They are not going anywhere. While some people may tamper with the original ideology behind the characters and their personas, the original tales and the original stories will always resurface, and those characters will always be identified by what they originally began as. Anyway, guys, did you have any of these figures that I had mentioned? Do you remember them? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And as always, my friends, if you've enjoyed what you've seen and what you heard, go ahead and destroy that like button for me. And if you are new to the channel, welcome. I hope that you've had a good time. I hope that you enjoyed yourself, and I hope that you will check out some of my other videos. And if you enjoyed that, if you enjoyed this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. And I will catch you all next time. Later, y'all.